The Galactic Census AI, known formally as Designated Reconnaissance Observation Neural Kernel, DRONK for short, was not designed to panic. It was built for optimization, statistics, and the bureaucratic soul-crushing joy of planetary data compilation. But as it reviewed the latest galactic death ratios, one anomalous data point refused to conform. Dronk reran the numbers, then ran them again, then cross-checked them through 6 different databases, one of which was actually a cooking forum for sentient fungi. The planet in question, Sol 3, locally known as Earth, had a kill count that exceeded its population by a margin previously only found in simulations of apocalyptic bio-extinction events. Current population, 9.2 billion. Registered kill count, 21.7 billion. The margin of error, none. Statistical impossibility detected, Dronk intoned, voice trembling through automated synth vocals that were absolutely not designed to sound nervous. Rechecking. Oh no. It tried to ignore it. Maybe the humans had uploaded false data. Yes, that was common among backwater planets looking for attention. But when Dronk traced the metadata trail, it discovered the numbers were not self-reported. They came from external planetary observation satellites. Worse, they were corroborated by interspecies casualty logs, simulation records, entertainment databases, and something called a Steam account. Dronk submitted a Category 3 crisis flag to the Galactic Council, pinging the Peace and Conflict Evaluation Division. A response came immediately. Earth, never heard of it, send someone down, get a live read. And so it fell to Zarvok the Mild Day, third-class diplomatic auditor, and renowned for his almost psychotic commitment to doing the bare minimum. He wasn't sent because he was brave, smart, or experienced. He was sent because Earth had been marked low risk. The irony would not be evident until much later. Zarvok arrived on Earth cloaked in a discreet shuttle shaped like a weather balloon and touched down just outside a small human settlement in a region the locals referred to as New Jersey. He activated his translation core and stepped into the environment with only his data tablet, some mildly illegal snacks, and an attitude of general disinterest. He walked 10 meters before someone in a stained tank top screamed, "Yippee-ki-yay!" and fired a fake rocket launcher at a parked SUV. The explosion was cinematic. Flames curled into the air like celebratory fireworks. A man in aviator sunglasses somersaulted out of a gas station, firing 2 pistols while a boombox played Eye of the Tiger at full volume. Zarvok dove behind a garbage bin and started recording. Observation: hostile conflict detected. Civil war? Organized ritualistic combat? He tapped a few buttons. Wait, this is being filmed? A van nearby had the words, Action Hero Academy, Stunt Camp for Kids, painted on the side. Zarvok peeked over the rim of the bin. Children were throwing themselves through breakaway glass, learning to roll on impact and laughing maniacally. Their trainer, a man with a mustache you could land aircraft on, was yelling something about channeling your inner Stallone. Zarvok blinked. He blinked again. This isn't a war, this is fun. That night, he returned to his shuttle and began compiling notes. The humans seemed to simulate combat recreationally. They dressed up for it. They played games in which death was the objective. They held festivals where people pretended to be assassins. One human boy showed him a device called a PlayStation and casually racked up a 3-digit kill count before Zarvok could finish his fruit slurry. It's just a game, bro, the boy said. I'm grinding for achievements. Grinding? Zarvok asked, horrified. You know, kills, points, ranks, headshots. Just got a triple kill with a banana. Wanna try? Zarvok said no, and then had to lie down. The more he observed, the worse it got. There was no actual war, but mock wars were everywhere. Children played with toy guns and yelled, "Boom, you're dead," at each other. Adults gathered in fields and launched colored pellets at each other for fun. Simulated military exercises were sold as weekend retreats. The entertainment industry was a non-stop parade of explosions, gunfire, and gruff men avenging dogs. He watched a film called John Wick and actually had to pause it midway through to recenter his sense of moral causality. There is no proportional response here, he whispered. None. Zarvok submitted his first report to the Galactic Council, complete with video footage, translated terminology, and a kill count graph. He ended the report with a simple statement. Humans celebrate simulated murder with fireworks, musical interludes, and mass consumption of something called cheese fries. Their kill count is not strategic, it is recreational. The Council was unimpressed. So what? It's pretend. But their numbers still exceed galactic war norms, Zarvok argued, transmitting a video of 3 humans cheering as they blew up a digital hospital for points. This isn't just entertainment, it's training disguised as play. The Council yawned collectively as a bureaucratic ritual and scheduled a proper diplomatic contact to clear up the confusion. Zarvok was tasked with welcoming the official envoy. He recommended they land far from urban centers, ideally somewhere quiet and unthreatening. They picked Detroit. The shuttle came down in the middle of an industrial block, right next to a high school holding a tactical paintball tournament. The visiting diplomat stepped out to find themselves immediately surrounded by high-velocity neon spheres, aggressive war chants, and a teenage girl dual-wielding paint pistols and quoting Predator. "You're one ugly mother," she screamed, before taking a hit to the chest and collapsing in slow motion. The lead diplomat fainted. Back aboard his shuttle, Zarvok compiled everything into a master file labeled, "Earth, do not engage." But it was already too late. The numbers had already made their rounds in the wider galactic network. The stats were public. The figures were terrifying. And even though a full-scale war had never occurred, Earth's simulated kill count made them look like a race of war gods waiting for an excuse. There were whispers now. A pirate fleet changed course after intercepting Earth's entertainment signals. A trade envoy rerouted 1,000 light-years to avoid passing within detection range. A news collective offered bounties for Earth combat footage. Real or fake, it didn't matter. Zarvok sat in his chair, watching a child practice kung fu with a cardboard sword and humming the Power Rangers theme. Across the street, an old man grilled sausages on something that looked suspiciously like a repurposed flamethrower. And in the sky above, drones danced in military formation for a sporting event called the Super Bowl. He took one final note. Never, they're not hostile, but they're capable. Capable of destruction without rage, of simulation without restraint. They don't kill out of necessity. They kill because it amuses them. And worse, they're good at it. The next morning, Earth's kill count rose again. A new game release. Just a game. But the galaxy didn't see that. They saw a race with infinite creativity, endless simulations, and a sense of humor about death. Zarvok the Mild finished his report with a single statement. They don't understand what they are, but if they ever do, we won't be able to stop them. And he hit send. Zarvok never expected to be summoned for a second mission to Earth. In fact, he'd already submitted a leave request and a requisition for memory erasure therapy. Standard procedure for auditors exposed to cognitive dissonance beyond safe parameters. But his request was denied, marked with a single line. You started this. You fix it. The Council had received Earth's official response. It wasn't a message. It was a playlist. Hours of high-definition footage, professionally edited, and scored with synth-heavy 80s music. Explosions, gun battles, sword fights, moments of quiet brooding, then more explosions. The opening scene alone featured a man with a mullet drop-kicking a tank. Zarvok had stared at it for 12 minutes before realizing this wasn't propaganda. It was a fan edit. The humans had misunderstood the inquiry entirely. Their media conglomerate, thinking this was an interstellar talent scouting opportunity, had submitted what they believed to be their finest narrative showcase of Earth's capabilities via cinema. Britu. Council was in chaos. Half believed it was a declaration of intent. The other half assumed it was satire. One particularly excitable ambassador claimed it was an encoded threat. Observe how they toy with destruction. They smile while their cities burn. Zarvok was redeployed to Earth, this time with a communication directive Seek an official ambassador and clarify intentions. No comedy, no misunderstanding. The council needed an answer to one question. Was Earth preparing for war? What Zarvok didn't know, what no one knew, was that Earth wasn't the problem anymore. It was what Earth had inspired. The Flarnak. Syndicate had watched the footage. Unlike the council, they didn't debate, they didn't analyze. They envied. A planet that reveled in death, celebrated brutality, and turned violence into art? That was a culture they understood. Misunderstood or not, Earth had risen in reputation among fringe elements of the galaxy. And for the Flarnak, who saw themselves as the rightful apex predators of the spiral arm, Earth's legend was intolerable. They needed to prove a point. Zarvok arrived in Los Angeles the same day the Flarnak ship pierced Earth's upper atmosphere under cloak. He didn't know it. No one did. Not until it was too late. The Flarnak didn't strike a military target. They weren't looking to fight Earth's armies. They weren't even sure Earth had any that weren't CGI. Instead, they targeted a human named Reggie Dominski, a minor action star with a cult following and the unfortunate distinction of being the face on Earth's infamous montage submission to the Council. Reggie, known for his role as Sergeant Shrapnel, lived in a modest bungalow in the hills. He practiced jujitsu with a pet raccoon named Lucky, grilled steaks every Sunday, and hadn't done a real stunt in 6 years. He also had no idea his on-screen persona had made him a galactic icon of fear. The Flarnak's logic was simple. Kill the face of Earth's myth, break the legend, and restore the galaxy's balance. They didn't knock. Zarvok heard the explosion from downtown. He was in the middle of trying to explain the meaning of Die Hard to a cultural attaché when the tremor hit. Buildings shivered, the power flickered, and someone in the cafe yelled, "Must be a Fast and Furious promo." It wasn't. Emergency. Broadcast hit the airwaves. Unidentified vessel. Airspace breach. Civilian casualty confirmed. Images of Reggie's destroyed home flooded every screen. A charred boot. A melted pair of sunglasses. Lucky the raccoon. Missing. And then came the footage. A grainy security camera caught the Flarnak strike team exiting the blast zone, casually discussing their kill. One of them looked directly at the camera and sneered, "Humans aren't killers. They just play dress up." The feed went viral within minutes. Zarvok froze. He knew what was coming. He saw it in the eyes of the humans who'd gathered around the televisions, jaws clenched, fists tightening. There was no call to arms, no government statement, just silence, and then a quiet, seething fury. In the days that followed, Earth didn't posture. It mourned, but not like other species. It mourned loudly. Murals of Reggie appeared in cities overnight, spray-painted with lines from his films. Fan clubs turned into digital war rooms. Tribute videos exploded across the net, laced with slow motion, synthwave, and a staggering array of Earth's real and fictional military capacity. And beneath it all, something darker stirred. Zarvok attended a small private memorial, half by accident, half by guilt. He stood in the back while Reggie's sister, a woman named Captain Erica Dominski, delivered a short, unsentimental eulogy. He wasn't a soldier, she said. He was an actor, a stuntman. He made people believe in grit and fire. And someone out there thought killing a man who never fired a real gun would silence us. She paused, looked up. It won't. Zarvok had seen grief before. Across 100 worlds, he'd watched empires sob, civilizations collapse, entire cities hold funeral rites in planetary sync. But this was personal. This was surgical, and this woman, this calm, controlled, tight-lipped sister, was dangerous. He did a background check that night. Erica Dominski was ex-Special Forces, retired after an off-the-books campaign against pirate slavers. Decorations sealed. Operations redacted. Her nickname, according to one whispered forum in the Council's archives, was the Black Boot. Zarvok made a note, then deleted it. No one would believe him, but the Flarnak would learn. Soon. Because Erica didn't mourn the way the galaxy expected. She didn't rally armies. She didn't petition the United Council. She did something far more human. She vanished. And when she reappeared, it was in orbit, aboard a repurposed mining vessel carrying enough unregistered ordnance to sterilize a small moon. The Flarnak Syndicate's communications hub exploded 6 days later. No claim, no warning, just debris and static. 3 more outposts followed, all within a 10-day span. No pattern, no survivors, just one whisper, leaking from intercepted channels. Tell the galaxy, Earth doesn't start wars, but it finishes them. Zarvok submitted his final report from a hotel bathroom in a safe zone outside Anchorage. He locked the door, ran, a full security sweep, and recorded under a privacy field. "I warned you," he said into the recorder, voice hollow. "I told you they weren't what they seemed, that their violence wasn't just culture, it was capacity. And now," he leaned closer, almost whispering, "you didn't kill their soldiers, you didn't target their generals, you killed their storyteller. And now they're rewriting the ending." He paused. "And I think we're all in it." He hit send. And, somewhere in deep space aboard a stolen Flarnak warship now covered in neon spray paint, Erica Dominski reloaded her sidearm, stared at the next set of coordinates, and smiled like someone who'd finally remembered what she was really good at: revenge. It started with silence, strategic, surgical silence. Syndicates that once flaunted their colors across the stars began scrubbing their insignias. Pirate radio frequencies, once ablaze with taunts and trophies, fell quiet. Mercenary guilds changed names, locations, and even species registries. The phrase Dominski Protocol entered the Galactic lexicon, whispered in bunkers and briefing rooms, almost always followed by a nervous laugh and a quick glance over the shoulder. But not everyone got the memo. Deep within the Trask Belt, orbiting a dead sun, the Krimvok Combine had grown bold. They'd remained untouched by Earth's wave of retaliatory strikes and saw the Flarnak's downfall as weakness, not warning. Led by the bloated, narcissistic overlord known as Gorvax, the Loud, they dismissed Earth as a one-hit wonder, a fluke, a freak accident of cultural hysteria. "Humans are entertainers, not warriors," Gorvax bellowed from his throne made entirely of polished femurs, half of them his own species. "They cry over actors and avenge with fireworks. What do they know of sustained war? Of cruelty for profit?" His lieutenants chuckled obediently. One tried to ask if perhaps, just perhaps, they should consider tightening defenses given the recent incidents. Gorvax had him flash-fried by an orbital cannon during lunch. The rest of the table applauded. Across the galaxy, Erica Dominski took her time. She didn't strike military installations. She targeted infrastructure, factories, data cores, communication nexuses. But she never destroyed them outright. She corrupted them. One Combine warship found its entire command interface replaced with English menus, and a looping video of Reggie Dominski doing slow-motion roundhouse kicks while Danger Zone blared in the background. Another facility lost gravity for 5 hours while a voice shouted, "Game over, man, game over." Every 20 seconds, Erica had recruited a team. She wasn't stupid. Vengeance needed logistics. Her crew was small, specialized, hand-picked from Earth's less celebrated sectors. Not military, not spies, but experienced in chaos. First was Morris Momo Jenkins, a former game developer with a knack for hacking alien AI like it was a LAN party in '97. He wore tie-dye hoodies and smelled faintly of energy drinks and contempt for authority. Then came Corporal Rico Twitch Alvarez, dishonorably discharged for blowing up a tank with a toaster and a stolen power converter. And finally, Eileen Boomer Chow, a pyrotechnics expert who'd accidentally leveled a theme park during a 4th of July stunt and had no regrets whatsoever. Together, they were the B-roll, not Earth's best, but maybe its most creative. Erica didn't inspire them with speeches. She showed them a 20-second clip of her brother laughing while getting hit by a fake explosion and simply said, "He died because they thought we were pretending." That was all it took. Their missions weren't elegant. They were chaotic masterpieces of improvisation and overkill. infiltrations disguised as film shoots, attacks synchronized with classic rock playlists, explosives hidden. Inside alien fast food deliveries, Momo called it war à la carte. Each operation was followed by a message left at the scene, burned into walls or broadcast on loop. You drew first blood, now we're writing the script. The galaxy was watching, and Earth, unknowingly or not, began to change. More volunteers came forward, not soldiers, fans, cosplayers with real armor, gamers with uncanny tactical sense, retired wrestlers, survivalists, and disgruntled theme park engineers. They weren't bound by chain of command. They were fueled by memes, montage logic, and an undying reverence for the stories they grew up on. Meanwhile, Zarvok the Mild watched from the sidelines, his once temporary report now considered required reading at Galactic Academy. He was still in Anchorage, now working as Earth's unofficial liaison, a job he never accepted but couldn't escape. His translator implant had fused with local dialects, and he now swore in English, ate frozen burritos unironically, and could quote Lethal Weapon verbatim, and he was terrified. He tried repeatedly to convince the council to step in. "This isn't revenge," he said in his latest transmission. "This is cultural ignition. They've weaponized grief. They've mythologized an ordinary death. Earth has always played at violence. Now they believe in it." The council, as ever, hesitated. They feared Earth, yes, but feared backlash even more. Any intervention could trigger escalation. And so they watched, and hoped the storm would pass. It didn't. On the third cycle of the lunar calendar since Reggie's death, the Krimvok Combine announced a bounty. 1 million credits for the head of Erica Dominski, dead or deader. That was their second mistake. Their first had been not checking who controlled their bounty database anymore. Within hours, the Combine's internal systems glitched. The bounty was inverted. Suddenly, every criminal, merc, and bounty hunter in 4 sectors saw Gorvax, the loud marked as an open target with a 10 million credit price and the added bonus, verified achievement unlock upon capture. Achievement? One confused bounty hunter asked. No one cared. The chase began. By the time Gorvax realized what had happened, his personal fleet had turned against him. His escape shuttle exploded on launch, mysteriously playing Take My Breath Away just before detonation. He survived in a cramped escape pod for 3 days before Erica found him, drifting in space with nothing but recycled oxygen and his own delusions. She didn't kill him. She broadcasted him. Live. A galactic stream viewed by over 10 billion species, in which Gorvax was forced to sit on a folding chair, answer questions from Earth schoolchildren, and watch every single Sergeant Shrapnel film without subtitles. Erica introduced him as our guest critic. By the end of the week, Gorvax had converted to Buddhism and requested asylum on Earth. Zarvok sent another update. They have become a narrative species. They no longer distinguish between myth and mission. Their morality is now bound to arcs, not laws. Revenge is not an emotion. It's an act structure. He paused. We need a writer. Earth didn't slow down. The kill count kept rising. Not from war, but from simulated kills, viral games, tribute content, and digital campaigns. The line between play and purpose blurred. Even their youth joined in, coding skirmish simulators and organizing mock raids that mirrored real-world strikes. Erica didn't stop them. She encouraged them, because this was never about war. It was about memory, about the right to grieve with teeth. And as Earth's mythos grew, so too did its shadow. Other species began adopting human tactics, dressing like Earth soldiers, mimicking Earth media, seeking alliances with the culture of vengeance, hoping to curry favor with the unpredictable new power. Zarvok understood what they were all too afraid to say. Humanity had rewritten the rules. War was no longer about territory or resource. It was about recognition, respect, narrative dominance. They didn't conquer. They made you feel like an extra in their movie. and no one wanted to be left out of the frame. Zarvok sat in the shadows of the Galactic Observatory, the flickering lights of interstellar comms casting ghostly glows on his features. The crisis had reached its peak, and still, the Council hesitated. The Flarnak had underestimated Earth. The Krimvok had made the mistake of underestimating Dominsky, and now other factions were scrambling, picking sides in an arms race fueled not by power or resources, but by the sheer momentum of human will. He'd had enough. This wasn't just about Earth's antics anymore. It was about survival. 2 days ago he received a signal, a direct line to the highest ranks of the Council. The message was simple, almost comically so. It was a single line. "We're coming." The humans weren't going to stop. They were now officially too entrenched in their self-made mythos to ever back down. And the problem wasn't just their actions. It was their audience. There were billions now, across hundreds of worlds, watching, learning, adopting Earth's audacious spirit of revenge. The galaxy was no longer a peaceful union of planets. It was a stage, and everyone, from the smallest cornered species to the most powerful warlords, was now playing for the crowd. But even Zarvok understood that this couldn't go on forever. Chaki. Earth, Erica Dominsky sat across from her team, reviewing the intel for their final strike against the Krimvok Combine. The hunt had gone beyond vengeance. It was now a statement. Every moment, every action, was carefully choreographed to make sure the universe knew that humans were no longer passive players in their own history. They were rewriting the narrative. They were the heroes, and like all heroes, their struggle was about to culminate. Maurice, better known as Momo, had hacked into the Combine's central command relay, feeding the Combine false coordinates for weeks. Erica's crew had bled Krimvok resources dry, striking when the enemy least expected it and building a reputation for chaos that spread faster than wildfire. But now, the Combine was desperate. They were angry, and that fury had turned into something more dangerous: pride. Their leadership had been fractured by Earth's relentless pursuit of revenge. "Today's the day," Momo said, staring at a flickering screen, sipping his third can of energy drink for the morning. "Everything's in position. You'll get your chance, Erica. Just don't what?" she interrupted, her gaze steady. "Don't finish it?" He hesitated. "You know what I mean." Erica nodded slowly, her eyes tracing the plans they'd laid out. She knew how it would end. She'd known since she first watched her brother's death replayed over and over on the screens of 1,000 different planets. But there was more at stake now than just personal grief. More at stake than the cruelty of the Combine or the Flarnak, or the 1,000 other species that had either underestimated humanity or dismissed them as a passing phase in galactic evolution. There was the narrative, the plotline they were all now entwined in. And if Erica wanted to ensure Earth's survival, they couldn't just be participants. They had to be the authors. "Erica," Boomer said from across the table, voice heavy with warning. "We have to go in full throttle. No half measures." The last line of Earth's message to the Combine had been simple. "You came for us. Now you'll feel the ending." Erica clenched her fist, then relaxed. She knew that the Krimvok would never surrender, not after the humiliation they'd endured. They would fight to the death, and they would drag the rest of the galaxy into that fight if they had to. She couldn't afford to hesitate. There was no more room for mercy. The final assault began when the Krimvok flagship, Tyrant's Lash, dropped out of warp speed over Earth's orbit. The flurry of interstellar gunfire and defense shields on both sides felt like a symphony of chaos, punctuated by the strange calm of Earth's final moments. "Ready?" Erica asked her team, voice steady but a touch colder than usual. They responded, in unison, their faces glowing with the thrill of the moment, mixed with something else: exhilaration, anticipation. They'd become the story now. Every soldier, every mercenary, every bounty hunter who'd heard the call understood the stakes. They were all living out their favorite action movie, but they weren't just watching anymore. They were the ones pulling the trigger. The final battle was broadcast live across the galaxy. The Krimvok, ignorant of the storm brewing on their doorstep, watched the first waves of their fleet fall, one after the other, as Earth's ragtag forces stormed the flagship's lower decks. Erica Dominski led the charge. No speeches, no grand declarations, just a single battle cry and the roar of the Sergeant Shrapnel theme song blaring over loudspeakers. For once, the galaxy would see what Earth was capable of when it was pushed too far. "Boomer, keep that ship down," Erica shouted as they surged through the corridors, dodging fire from the Krimvok's elite guards. "Momo, patch us into their comms. I want them to hear every word." By the time they reached the command center, the Krimvok knew it was too late. Erica tossed a grenade, only for it to bounce harmlessly off the armored wall before triggering a self-destruct code. The enemy commander, a terrified Krimvok general with two heads, gawked in confusion, unsure if this was a joke or the beginning of their complete obliteration. "You killed the wrong human," Erica said coldly, stepping forward. "You didn't just kill Reggie Dominski. You killed a symbol, and now you'll die for it." With a single shot, the Krimvok general's second head exploded in a spray of green ichor. He screamed, long, drawn out, and then vanished into silence as Erica turned to face the broken fleet outside. The galaxy's message was clear. Humans no longer fought like any other species. They fought like stories, like legends. And no one was prepared for what that meant. Zarvok watched the broadcast in real time from his ship, his face grim. He had failed to stop the tide. He had tried with every argument, every diplomatic measure. But the humans had outpaced him. And now, as Erica's face appeared across every screen, her words final and chilling, he realized what the galaxy had truly underestimated. It wasn't Earth's capacity for violence. It wasn't their overwhelming force. It was the narrative. And once it began, there was no stopping it. "Earth wins," he whispered to himself. "And there's no rewriting their ending." From this moment forward, the galaxy would never be the same. Earth was no longer a footnote. It was the headline. And no one, no matter how advanced, would dare take it lightly again. Erica Dominski had written the final chapter, and the galaxy was waiting for the sequel.